Hi, I'm Todd Henderson. Today we're going to install the FX5 Gator cover on this 2013 Ram pickup. Now this is going to be the same installation as most pickups, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so now this truck has a plastic bed cap cover from the factory. So you got a little bit of thickness between the metal bed cap and the actual rail that's going to be mounting to it. So if this did not, we're also included some long shims. And you can see on the other side you got 3 pieces of tape. You'd release the tape on that, and you want to stick it to the inside of the rail, just like so. Then you could mount the rail to the bed cap. But this has the plastic bed cap covers, so we're not going to use the shim. We can set it to the side. Okay, so we're starting on the passenger side. I've got the passenger side rail. You can tell which side is the passenger side because the tab, this aluminum, is going to come out up at the front. You're also going to have a little pad at the front here. What we're going to do is we're going to take that rail and set it on top of the bed cap. So this portion is just going to hang right on top of the bed cap. Once it's hanging on the bed cap, push it all the way to the front. Now, something you notice on this truck, it has a drop-in plastic bed liner. So what I had to do is I had to make a mark, trace around where the rail comes up to it, and remove that piece of material from the bed liner. That way, the rail can go all the way up to the painted portion of the bulkhead itself. All right. I also notched a little bit below where the drain cup is because I'm going to have a drain tube that goes right down between there. The rear of the bed liner also had a piece of plastic protruding up, and I had to remove that as well so it could clear where the rail is going to set. Anything that you have, depending on what manufacturer makes your bed liner, anything that gets in the way of the rail just needs to be trimmed out of the way to make room for that rail. Now what we're going to do is we're going to attach the drain tube to the drain cup. Now there's lots of different ways you can do this. You can run your drain tube out through a hole. You've got a kick out, a little oval kick out in the bottom of the ram, but right about here. So if you did not have a plastic bed liner, you could just go right through that plastic kick out. What we're going to do, since I notched this out down below, is we're actually going to cut this drain tube kind of short, stuff the drain tube down in there. Now we're just going to feed the drain tube down in behind the plastic bed liner. We're going to set the rail right up against the bed cap. Make sure it's slid all the way to the front. We're going to take our provided clamp, we're going to slide it up into the rail. We're going to actually pinch the rail to the bed cap itself. We're going to slide it as far forward as we can. On the bottom side of the ram, the metal goes away on the front side of this clamp, so what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we're biting down on metal. We're also going to make sure that the grooves on the clamp are properly seated to the grooves on the rail. If they're not seated together, it will not clamp properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 9/16. We're just going to tighten it a little bit where it's starting to bite down. Then once it's getting a bite on it, we're going to make sure that it's pulled all the way to the bulkhead. And we're also going to pop down and hold pressure up at the front and then tighten it down the rest of the way. Now we don't need to over tighten this thing. Just tighten it down until it's nice and snug. Next clamp back, we're going to set that in place about midway in the bed of the truck. There again, we want to make sure that it's seated properly into the grooves on the rail. We're going to hold it together, twist it finger tight, and then give it a tap from the top. That seats the seal to your bed cap. That way we don't have any leak issues between the rail and the bed cap. And we're just going to finish tightening that down. Not too tight, just nice and snug. Your final clamp, you want to get all the way back as far as you can go. So we're going to bring it back to about here. There again, just a reminder, make sure the clamp is married in properly to the grooves on the rail. Tighten it down with your fingers. What I'm doing here is I'm putting pressure on this side of the clamp. Everything on this side is already brought down. So when I bring pressure down here, it straightens everything out with the bed cap. Now we're going to repeat the same process on the driver's side. Now something you may have in your kit will be a pack of shims. What the shims are for is if the bed cap that you're attaching to is uneven, so if it steps in a little bit. What that shim does is that shim makes a flat surface to attach the clamps to. So everywhere you would have a clamp, you would set the shim right in where the bed cap steps in to create that flat surface. Now this is a bulkhead seal. Bulkhead seal is used when you do not have a plastic bed cap cover that comes over top of the bulkhead. Since the plastic bed cap cover comes up and is even with the level of the bed caps, we're not going to need to use the bulkhead seal here. If it did not have this, and we did have a bare bulkhead, what we'd want to do is we want to peel this away and put it as far towards the inside of the bed as possible on the bulkhead, and we attach it from one edge of the bed cap, or to the bed cap on one side to the bed cap on the other side. Also included with your package of the rails are going to be a couple of prop rods. What you're going to see is you're going to have a little ball stud that's on the rail. This is going to pop right into that ball stud, and then it's going to set right into here. We do that on both sides. Now we're going to take the cover and set it up against the rails. What we're going to see is these adjustment tabs are going to be your very first panel, come out your very first full panel. So what we're going to do is we're going to set it on top of the rails, drop it in place. The click that you just heard was the latches engaging. We're going to pull this back. Next we're going to take any type of packaging material, move it out of the way. I'm going to rotate this up towards the bulkhead, and we're going to slide the cover where the cover contacts the bulkhead. Next, we're going to locate our elevator bolt assembly. What we're going to do is we're going to take our star knob, we're going to untwist it from the elevator bolt. We're going to move our rubber washer, flat washer, and lock washer, leaving one flat washer on the elevator bolt. That elevator bolt is then going to go down through the hole that's in the cover. It's going to line up to the hole in the tab off the rail and drop down in place. Now we've got both elevator bolts in place. We're going to go ahead and fold gently the cover back towards the cab of the truck. All right, now we're going to take our rubber washer, flat washer, and lock washer and set it on top of the elevator bolt as it comes down. And then take our star knob and get it started. And all we're going to do is just make contact. That way we can adjust the cover. Now that we have both star knobs in place, we're going to start folding the cover back. We're going to bear down on the front of the cover at the bulkhead, and we're going to make sure it's all the way up against the bulkhead on both sides. And then one panel at a time, we're going to work our way back to the tailgate. We're going to lock it in place. As we go, we're going to remove our packaging material. And as we bring the last panel down, we're going to make sure it's centered, drop it into place. We're going to analyze, make sure everything is centered on the rail. Make sure our spacing is the same on the driver's side as it is on the passenger side. Now we're going to lift up the tailgate. We're going to make sure it closes properly against the tailgate, and it does. Now we're going to very gently fold the cover up to the bulkhead again. We'll make sure we're very careful not to shift this cover side to side because it's nice and aligned currently. With the cover lined up, we can go ahead and tighten down the star knobs. We don't want to over tighten them, we just want to get them nice and snug on each side. Now with your kit, you're going to have 3 rubber bumpers. This particular truck only needs 2 because what we're going to do is we're going to rock it forward and see where it actually contacts the cab. The only places where it needs the rubber bumpers is actually where it contacts the cab. So we'll just pull it back. We'll wipe down the aluminum surface with alcohol. Don't stick it to the rubber surface because it won't stay. So we'll wipe down the aluminum surface with alcohol, attach it on both sides, and there we go. It protects the cab. Now we're going to go ahead and fold it back to the tailgate. We're going to close the tailgate and close the last panel. Now something to remember on these seals, these have been in a box, and so sometimes the seals are a little bit deformed one way. It will form a memory to the correct position. Best is to either keep it in the sun or use like a hairdryer or a heat gun to heat up that rubber so that it flattens out. Even along the sides, you notice especially around the hinge areas where the rubber doesn't quite come down flat, just correct it, and then after a little bit of time in the sun or with a hairdryer, it'll flatten right out. Well, that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts. We're here to help you out.